Hello, my friends, and welcome back to this episode of the Finding Good podcast with my guest, Justin Williams. In the first part of the episode, we covered so much, and we barely scratched the surface of all the topics that I want to talk with Justin about. If you haven't watched it yet or listened, please go back, check out the first episode because it is a good one. But we have more to cover in this conversation, including Justin's partnership with Red Bull. Hope you enjoy. Hello, friends, and welcome to the Finding Good podcast. Here we dive deep into conversations with remarkable people who have found success in life despite all of life's myriad challenges and found good on the other side. Based on 3 tenets defined in my best-selling memoir, Finding Good, these individuals have been positively selfish, surrounded themselves with good people, and more than anything, done their part to make this world a better place. My name is Mike Thompson, and this is Finding Good. It's not surprising to me that everything that you do seems to turn into a success, but I know that one thing that you've said is you have to fail to succeed.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on in the conversation, but everything that you've done from, putting together your own victories to creating this team and doing philanthropic work, trying to get, whether it's minorities, whether it's people from the Caribbean, whether it's people from Africa, access to the sport, none of the victories, personal or team, that you've had can happen without good people. And that's that second tenet of Finding Good, is to surround yourself with good people, which in the book I talk about, it's just as important to surround yourself with good people as it is to distance yourself from people that don't add value to your cup. So walk me through, obviously Corey, your parents, but walk me through some of the people that have, carried you and helped you get to where you are today.
Yeah.
And then also, how do you navigate, what's your kind of your metric for keeping people in your circle and making sure that they're only adding and filling up your cup, and hopefully you're doing the same for them. But how do you navigate the people aspect of life?
This is a great question. So I was lucky enough to see my parents be givers my whole life. My parents used to basically take take of people when they would be making the transition from Belize to America. They would basically stay at our house. And we only had a 3-bedroom. So as you could imagine, it was really tight because I have 4 brothers. So we were either all in one room or we'd have people sleeping in the living room. There was always stuff going on. And so I watched my parents give back to people that were less fortunate than them, just out of the goodness of their heart. So that was my foundation. And then when I started cycling, I was around this guy named David Pulliam, who basically would spend his whole paycheck on making sure that we got to races, making sure that we were fed. I mean, sometimes I ate better with Dave than I did with my parents. Yeah, exactly. And so just making sure I had everything that I need. So that was next. And then after that, Rasan would take care of me when I would go to basically anything. So whether it would be Long Beach or when we were on rock racing together and we were traveling around the country, I ask him now, I'm like, how did you get me into some of these races? I had no business being in some of these races. And I don't know how he would get me. And it was totally him because I was 17 when I signed pro. So I wasn't even 18 yet. I still had another year junior. And he basically just called me and said, hey, you're going to be on this team next year. And I was like, I can't be on this team. I got to tell Dave, Dave's not going to let me be on the team. Dave's my manager. I'm like, Dave's not going to let me. I got to do another year. I was like, I'm going to win nationals next year. I'm sure he's going to want that. And Rasan's like, shut up. You're coming to this team.
He saw promise in you and wanted to invest in you.
He said, you're coming to this team. That's that. I'm going to talk to your dad.
Final decision.
You don't even have a choice. I'm just telling you.
That's fantastic though, to have someone believe in you that much.
Incredible. And so he would just take care of me. Anything that I needed, he would take care of me. And so then I went from Rasan. And so that was really my foundation. There was also incredible people within the major motion and Black community in Los Angeles, the cycling. Someone that stands out on top of my head. It's some of my uncles were pretty incredible, but there's this guy named Orlando. And I remember every time we'd get done with a ride in where we ride from, what is it called? We would do this ride on Sundays, and he would say, stay humble, never forget, stay humble. And so like he would tell me that after every ride, after every week, and I was like, man, I am humble. Like, am I like not being? Am I doing something? But that really, all of those people, that whole community, really like checked me in a way that was like really positive. It made me always consider what I was doing and how it was affecting other people.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's one of the most important things we can master in life. 100%. So knowing that, in that same vein, we know that there's negativity out there. I mean, when you and I were on the phone earlier this week, you were talking about the fires, and it's just interesting how the world seems to only focus on the negative right now. And
100%.
And the way that I explained it to you and I explained it to everybody is there's a spectrum, and right down the middle is the line between good and bad. Mm-hmm. And bad stuff can elicit such an emotional response that it brings you way over here. And that's why car accidents go viral, or, fights, or police body camera footage or whatever, because it's such a visceral response that we have. And then on the good side, we experience good things in life. We get a promotion at work, we get to see our dog or our spouse, and like it edges us into that, but it doesn't get all the way to counter the severity of what the bad stuff can be. And so that's why we subconsciously or not keep returning to those negative things. But what I've learned, and I think you do wonderfully, is you curate that cloud of influence, and you're able to distance the trolls and the haters and the people that take away from your cup while preserving your little circle. So how do you, and I don't want to get into the racial narrative too much, but you've talked about when Legion came on, you had a target on your back, and people thought this is different, this is new. And one of the quotes that I love that you said was, anyone in the sport, and you were talking about cycling at the time, anyone in the sport that decides to do something different is shunned or cast out.
100%.
And you had pretty much a target on your back since you started riding.
Yeah, it's bad. I think it's like weird because like sometimes it comes from people that I've actually helped before and it's
been
like
friends with,
and you think you're friends with them. But I kind of get it. Like, I think it's like, so one, the whole negative thing, I think that people spend too much time looking at what other people are doing. It is the curse of social media, is where when you get that promotion, it's a good promotion, but I'm still making less than John that lives up the road. And so it's harder to enjoy the positives now because there's so many shiny things in front of you that I think people don't even think that they're positive, or people start to feel entitled to those promotions and stuff. And so when you feel entitled to something, it doesn't feel like a good. And so now the negative is even stronger. So I think that the one, you got to really enjoy, like, anything that happens to you positive is a blessing. And you really have to like let yourself and learn how to relearn how to enjoy those moments, because they don't happen to everybody. So when you get a good thing that happens in your life, don't compare it to anybody else. It's where you are. This is for you. So that's one. I would say creating space from negative people. I think that's when you have to learn. And I don't think you learn it until, sadly, you've dealt with it over and over and over. My whole thing is like the higher power, the Lord will give you the same test over and over and over until you decide to get it. And so it's on you. That is your freedom of choice, is that you're going to get the same test and it's going to suck over and over and over until you decide to like understand it. And in saying that, people don't understand how much energy negative people have in their life. People don't understand how much energy someone that's always making themselves a victim, or saying they want to do something but doing nothing to help themselves get out of that situation. And sadly, no matter how much help you give someone that has that kind of attitude, they're not gonna go anywhere until they decide that they want to change. So it takes a long time for people to really understand how much of an effect someone that's being negative in their life. I don't care if it's family, friends, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to limit your time with those people, because eventually it's so easy to give into negativity. You're gonna falter.
Yeah.
That's another thing. It doesn't matter. And so, and I would say for me, dealing with people that have that negativity, like, that really doesn't, I don't know, that may be something that's chemically wrong in my brain, but it just never affected. It just has never affected me. I always say that cycling isn't the hardest thing that I've had to deal with. People think that racism is new. Racism isn't new to me. I've dealt with racism my whole life. So like when it happens, and it happens every day, my reaction to it, I'm desensitized towards it. So when it happens, it doesn't bother me. So when people are talking online, like I'm like, okay, well, like, but show up and race.
Yeah.
Beat me.
Right.
And like, it's so funny because like you have these people that swear if World Tour riders come do crits, we're going to lose. And like we've had World Tour riders come over and do crits.
And get crushed. And
so it's like, I don't say that to like toot my own horn. I say that to go, it takes a certain amount of skills to be a Criterium
It's
racing.
different.
You got to have the power, but you also got to be, it's not even crazy. You got to have you have to have such a understanding of what's happening in front of you and what may happen that you're pre-programmed to like make decisions. You've already made the decision. Do you watch Dragon Ball Z at all?
Oh yeah.
So Dragon Ball Z, you know, Ultra Instinct.
Yep.
When they're not even, they're just reacting.
Yep.
You got to get to when I was the best I ever been, I was just reacting to stuff. And so it's like these people with this negative feedback, they don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
They've never experienced it. They don't actually know what it takes to be. The only thing that they can do is compare Criterium to road racing. And it's not road racing. It's a completely different sport. It would be like me saying the 400 or the mile in a track is the same as a marathon.
Yep.
And people would think that you were crazy if you said that. And like, it's the same thing. It's an hour race. And that's different from a 4-hour race with 10,000 feet of climbing or a 5-hour race with It's completely different. It's a completely like different race.
My friend Gabby Thomas, the Olympian,
Mm-hmm.
you know, she's a sprinter,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a very distinct line between sprinters and the long distance track and field athletes.
And no one compares them in
Right.
running,
Right.
but people compare them in cycling. And so it's just like, again, it just goes back to this negative like culture of like this demographic of people who don't want to get out of their own way, think that their opinions matter even when they haven't done anything. And then other people who feel like supporting those people or agreeing with those people is going to change anything when they don't even realize that some of those people just feel that way because of their racist biases. Some of those people feel that way because they have no hope and they've never done anything and they never experienced anything. And so it's like, for me, I know what I'm doing is really good. I know that like helping under 23 riders and junior riders, doing these junior day camps, connecting with the community, bringing riders back from Europe that don't want to race there anymore. We have this like thing where people are like, oh, you guys just hire ex World Tour rider. Okay, so what about in 2019 when we won everything and it was me and my brother and a couple local riders that most of you people have never heard about? You know what I mean? It's like I know that. So it's easy for me to be excited and happy about everything that we're doing because I have the freedom to do whatever I want on this team because I own the team. I can wear whatever I want. I can show up to whatever races I want to show up to. I book my own hotel. I'm having so much fun. And so when people are talking online and like either they don't race or they have like 2 followers or 12 followers, I'm like, bro, like, enjoy your day.
But we talked about the power of the vocal minority.
Mm-hmm.
It's for some reason those negative comments can really just detract from your mission. I get not thousands, I get hundreds of comments about podcasts and people texting left and right, and they're overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
And I love being like my own boss now and working with JB and traveling and sharing conversations with people that I care about. But it's always that one person that's like, well, I wish you would have done it this way, or I didn't like what you talked about there. And it's just for some reason we focus on that one little bit. But being positively selfish is being able to look at that and say, that person can't make me feel a certain way.
I'm so lucky. I feel so lucky. And I think that like being able to understand, for me, every day that I'm here, I understand more and more that that person that's saying that doesn't understand how to make anything. Like they don't know how to understand how to create, because as you're creating, I remember having this epiphany with my brother. We were going through shirt designs, right? And I was like, this shirt isn't perfect. This shirt isn't perfect. He's like, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I realized we're going to make thousands of shirts. And so if one is not perfect, that's okay.
Right. You don't have to dwell on that one.
When you
error.
start thinking about making thousands of shirts, then you're going like, your brain changes to like, we just have to get these out and get better at every shirt that we make.
Yeah, I love it.
And it's the same thing with the podcast. It's like, yeah, man, like it's not perfect, but you're doing it. Most people say they're going to do stuff. They don't do anything. And it's all about consistency. Anything that you do in your life, if you can put consistency and discipline behind it, it's going to work out eventually. You're going to outwork most of the people that set out to do the same thing you do. If they can even get it started, you're going to outwork most of people. You're going to outlast most people by just being consistent. I see this on the internet all the time, and it's so funny because now everyone that influences does this thing where like, all you got to do is X, Y, and Z. And I don't necessarily believe in like a lot of it.
I don't either.
But I do think that if you set a timeline and you do something consistently, if you do it consistently for a year, if you do it once a week for a year, by the end of that year, you're either going to be successful at the thing that you set out to do, or you're going to have a very good idea on how to be successful in doing it in another way. You're going to grow and you're going to learn, and having that perseverance and grit is going to change you as a person. And it's going to, whether you are successful in the thing that you set out to do, or you find something else you want to do and you apply those skills that you learned from that journey, you're going to be better for it. And so it's not always about getting, it's never about getting it right on the first try. No one who's ever been successful in any walk of any life, that maybe if they come from money, but that doesn't come from money, and in a lot of those who do come from money, has been successful on the first time of doing something. That would be crazy. Actually, that is the crazy thing. It would be crazy to do something the first time and get it knocked out perfectly. You're probably Jesus. No, Jesus didn't even get it right.
Yeah, he was well aware of that, abundantly aware of his human conflict of being imperfect.
Exactly.
But I've heard you say it multiple times, that all great things come from failure.
Oh yeah.
And you've admitted to failure in many things you and I've talked about, but again, overwhelmingly positive outcomes is what I've seen as the legacy that Justin Williams is building. And I think you're just getting started on a lot of it.
Yeah. I'm not afraid.
The third tenet, and we have so much more to talk about still, but I want to acknowledge, if you do the three things that I say in the book and as part of the Finding Good mentality, anyone from any background, any religion, any race, any gender, any cultural identity that you have, anybody can apply the Finding Good tenets to their life. It's meant to be evergreen. It's meant to be broad, but my belief is that we are all here to lift each other up and to engage in the human experience with others and celebrate both times of joy and times of sadness or pain. And from the outset, you have wanted to give back. You've wanted to use your success in cycling or as an entrepreneur to benefit, like you mentioned earlier, people that are less fortunate than you. And so tell me a little bit about your work with bringing minority, young people, athletes to the sport of cycling. And not everybody has a dad that was a Belizean national rider, right? So, why is it important to you to continue to do that? And what does the work look like from Legion and from Justin Williams of how you can impact that mission?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just trying to leave the sport better than I found it. And that would benefit anybody. That'll benefit you if you're black, white, orange, it doesn't matter. So leaving the sport better than I found it is like massively important to me, and like leaving a legacy of change. So I think that's the first part. Just really looking at a problem and trying to fix it with the resources that I have, And so I think that's step one. Let me think. From the team perspective, I don't know. I think for me, it's always been about just doing stuff and then figuring out how it's gonna work out, and then adjusting every time you get to like a finish line or stopping point. You adjust and you go to the next thing.
You work back and analyze it and then
go back. And so better. For me, like building the team out and then building the teams out, the big goal is like to create this league, right? This big league, and the league is basically like 15 teams and 15 races in these different cities where people can identify with and get behind. And then from there, you can do like there's smaller races where recruiting happens. And then like, you know, if you're a Cat 1 or a Cat 2, you can go to these races and there's recruiters from there. And then, you know, there's a junior series attached to the big league, the 15 races. There's a junior series that follows the league. And so like if you're a junior racer or a junior team, you can go to those races and also get recruited. So like in theory, it should come to a point where the dream is that there's this pipeline of junior race. So when you're a junior, you're getting to racing, you race locally, and then when you get good enough, you get picked up by like a team that is a traveling team, just like in like
At
basketball.
what age does this start?
It's like 10. I think racing starts at 10 right now. Yeah. And you could start earlier, but I think racing as a junior from 10 to 16, or I don't know what it's called, because juniors are technically 17, 18. I was going to say,
yeah,
so like
whatever
before
it is.
that, whatever it is. So basically racing locally, building your skills, being developed by like clubs. That's another thing we should talk about. Like clubs used to really get people where they wanted to go. Now they don't have any clubs. So like the pressure is falling on like other things. But my whole goal is to like create a pipeline. So from the junior racing, you race locally, then you get to 17, 18, you're on a traveling team, you're doing this series. If you're older, you're not a junior, but you have talent, then you're racing in these like elite races, and like there's opportunities to get drafted from both. And then you have the 15 race world championship series. That's like these races with these city teams. It's Legion Los Angeles, it's Golden State Blazers, it's Austin Outlaws, it's, you know, Miami, whatever. It's all of these teams and these cities are represented. And for me, I think that would create such a really cool opportunity for people who didn't think that they could. First of all, cycling is really cool because it's a different avenue from like the football or basketball thing. And like football right now, you're dealing with a lot of head injuries. So for me, I set out to go, I want to do for one kid what cycling did for me, which was to change my whole perspective on the world. And like, that's our mission, is to change perspective using bikes. So I want to do that if I can do that for one kid, if I can build the foundation for that to be one kid that maybe we don't have this league, but then they end up going to Europe, I'm okay with that. But the big dream is to have this league in where you have these really cool sponsors and there's broadcasting and there's all this stuff and there's pipeline. And I think that if we can accomplish that, you know, we'll help so many people. We'll change the lives of so many kids that are growing up, whether it be rough situations or not. And then also for like people coming from the Caribbean, people coming from South America, like it's hard to make that transition over to Europe. There's a reason why the Peloton looks the way that it looks. And so I think that building something in America that is not competing with, I don't want to compete with the Tour de France. I think the Tour de France is incredible. I don't want to compete with like series that happens over there. I simply want to build something in America that has access to kids that grew up where I grew up, enjoy the form of competition that I enjoy, which I think that like criteriums do. I think criteriums are as similar to like basketball as like anything else, right? It's like in a criterium, every lap matters. In a basketball game, every possession matters. And so it's like whether you're positioning yourself in a criterium or you're going for a preem or you're trying to set your teammate up, is the same kind of strategy that you're doing. Even like the physicality of it is really similar, right? Like if you're driving the lane and someone's bigger than you and they hit you, you're going to probably fall over. It's the same principles apply. You're probably going to fall over. Is on a court, crits are on a course. You know what I mean? They're repetitive. So you're doing the same thing back and forth. And every time you go back and forth, you're adjusting how you approach getting success. Right. And so mentally, I just think that the criterium racing works a lot better. And I think that feeds so much into helping kids that come from where I come from, because I can get them they understand crit racing. I've never taken someone to a crit that didn't get it right away. But you take them to a road race and then we're sitting in a feed zone or something and they're like, why are we here? So I think that for me, doing junior day camps, doing community rides, bringing riders back from Europe so that they can teach the riders that we're bringing from the Caribbean how to be professionals, how to ride properly, how to ride pace lines properly, how to like race properly. All of it like just like lives together. And so like that's something that I'm doing and the team is doing to like make the sport better and to like leave a lasting impact.
There's so many concepts here that we're going back and forth from, whether it's, quality of life and your perspective on the world. Certainly the social and like racial component of making sure that minorities and young Black kids, especially from areas like South Central, have access to the sport. And I think it's important to note that in any professional sport, whether you're Tour de France or whether it's NFL, MLB, it's such a small percentage of people that make it to that level, like bar none. And even more so in those sports like football and baseball, the competition is so high at that level that you can spend years trying to break into it only to, get injured or suffer. But what I believe how cycling differs, and this goes back to something that you said, that you never know what events are going to transpire to bring you where you need to be. And I was an athlete too when I was younger and excelled really, really well at soccer and baseball. Dabbled in football and basketball, but baseball and soccer were my main sports. And cancer took that away from me. And for many years, not being able to compete was a severe source of depression for me. But I, get through all the cancer, get through all the rehab, come back to life as a cyclist, as a runner, as an endurance athlete. And now, co-owner of Breakfast Club, with my friend Justin Williams right now, elite cyclist, professional cyclist in LA with my podcast producer. Like, it's just crazy how life can work out if you let it. And 100%. You talked about like, you could be going down this path and have these goals only to get there and realize A, it's not everything it cracked up to be. B, I'm not interested in anymore and I might want to do something completely different. But having that attitude and being able to pivot is so important.
Yeah.
And what you're doing to give that access, I think, to the sport of cycling, it provides longevity because cycling is very good for you. Mm-hmm. Unlike football, unlike, some other sports, you can tear an ACL, like get really injured. And granted, you can crash in a Criterium too, but just the lifestyle of getting up, of riding with friends, being healthy, living that life, going and get good food after you ride. It's so much better than the alternative to what we talked about before, especially in South Central, is those 1 in 3 kids that end up in jail or dead, or in drugs or whatever.
I remember growing up and not knowing that you could be like what is a producer? Like what does a producer do? You didn't have access to any of those jobs. And so even just getting into the sport, even if you never become a professional racer, getting into the sport, leading a healthy lifestyle, keeping your weight down, being there for a longer period of time for your family, like finding a job that you never thought existed, like art director, creative director, producer. Like there's so many things that you can do in the sport of cycling beyond just being a bike racer. Like that's, like you said, you're going to go on this journey and you're going to get introduced to cycling. You're going to love it. It's freedom. You're going to finally have freedom. You're going to see your landscape change in front of you over and over and over. And you're going to start to dream and wander because when you're on a ride. I always tell people like, bikes are really good because it's impossible to be mad when you're suffering. Like it humbles you so quickly and like rewires your brain to go, is this even a big deal? Is what I'm going through even a big deal? And so there's like therapy in it. There's so many things that come from cycling. And then if you're really talented and really good, maybe you become one of the best crit racers in the world. If not, maybe you become a really dope coach. If not, maybe you become a manager or Swanee or a mechanic, or you do marketing for, this company, or you go work for Specialized, or you go work for Factor. There's so many avenues that you can go in. It's like, it's almost overwhelming. Like we talked about, like my goal is 2028 to retirement. And from professional racing, I'll ride my whole life.
Yep. Same.
But 2028, I'm like, I'm going to retire. And like, I'm at the point now where it's like, dude, I got so many things that I want to do. Like I want to be the CEO of one of these cycling companies just to like do it right.
And you're 35 years old, still crazy young. It's just such a fascinating story to see where you've come.
There's just so many, and there's just so many things that you can do. And so when we talk about being positive, being persevering through like situations that don't feel like they're working out for you, putting one foot in front of the other, like this is what we're talking about. It's like you're gonna get to the end of your route and you're gonna be like, if you open your eyes, there should be like a bunch of different ways you can go.
Agreed.
And like it's all sacrifice. Like life is hard. It's hard for all of us. It sucks for all of us. But like it's not gonna stop.
Yeah, life continues to move on whether we like it or not.
Whether you're happy or not, whether you like it or not, and so you might as well be happy and trying rather than like watching your days go by. And like maybe that's another thing that I've matured into is like I look at my life now and like every day I'm like so grateful for, and I'm like so excited for, even when things aren't going right, even when I'm stressed out. I'm like, let me get a couple hours to like reset my brain. And then like, we're going to go back and we're going to do it because it's like, you only have so many days.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm 35 now. I remember being 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember being 15. I remember being 20.
Yeah,
and
your
I'm
whole
like,
life ahead of you.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, when you like, they say youth, what is it? Youth is wasted on the young.
Yep.
It makes a lot of sense now.
It is.
I didn't know what they were talking about.
Kids don't know how good they have it.
They don't know when you're living at home and you're going to high school and you don't have any bills. You're just trying to chase girls or like wondering about your first car. Like life is incredibly. There's a sweet spot for sure.
Yeah.
Where you're like you're old enough to drive where you want to drive, but you're young enough that like your parents are paying for all of your stuff.
Yeah, you're not going overseas without them helping you with the airfare. It's
a beautiful time. You better enjoy every day of it. And then like there's other sweet points throughout your, my growth at least, but I do look back to being a kid. I was like, oh man, like that was like so easy. Yep. It's never gonna be that easy again, which is okay. But like enjoy it. And I use that in my head to go, man, if I knew then what I know now, how would I act? And so like now I'm like 35 and still able to race my bike and still able to win races and still able to travel the world and still able to do all these things. And like, so I do. Like even when I'm tired, I do. Like I get in trouble all the time because like my parents are on my case so much because they're like, you work too much. It's like, yeah, but like, that's awesome. I'll be able to rest like when there'll be a lot of time for resting, but like right now is not the time. Like I'm okay with being tired. I'm grateful to be tired. Drive. Yep. Exactly. Like I'll snap out of it. I'll have a coffee. I'll snap out of it, or I'll take a day to rest and I'm back at it again. But it's like, for me, it's days in a row. Yeah. It's weeks in a row. It's months in a row. Like I really want to make a difference. And like, I think to do that, there's time that needs to be sacrificed. And I don't ever think that I've accomplished anything and then look back on like what it took to get there and was like, yeah, no, I won't do that. Like, that's not what I want. I won't do that again. And so I think that like having that mindset of make today like the best, make today count, like let's give today my all, whether that be in training. I was at the track on Wednesday and we're going into the last sprint and I was cooked and I was like, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is the last sprint. Like you're tired, but like, you're never going to when's the next time you're going to get a shot to do this sprint? You know what I mean? And then I got blown off the wheel and I was like, yeah, but the mindset was right.
You gave it your all. And you wouldn't have slept that night if you didn't 100%. Give it your all.
The mindset was right. I like knew like this is the moment. I'm not going to get this moment again. Like I have to at least try. And I tried and it didn't work out, but I tried.
My mission is similar to yours. Is I wanted one person to read Finding Good, to read that book, to hear my story, and to live life a little fuller. Yeah. If it's just one person, this whole thing was worth it. And you said that. Like if one kid gets out of South Central, or one kid from the Caribbean, one young boy or girl that's Black, or coming from Belize or coming from Eritrea, wherever it is, that one person is inspired by your legacy, then you've done your work. But undoubtedly, 100%. I see it in the cycling community. Working at Specialized, being a part of Breakfast Club, we are more diverse and inclusive than ever before. And I know that is a lot of different factors, but it's you driving that message. It's you driving that mission. Whether you know, I know you'll be modest about that, but it's being felt.
Well, that's what like action is. Like aspiration is not like putting something crazy expensive in front of people and saying like, hey, buy our thing. It's supposed to be aspirational. There's a lot of brands that use that. And I think to me, it's like the dumbest thing that you can do. Being aspirational is really like giving people hope in the form of the content that you put out and what you make them feel, what you help them believe in, how you make them help them believe in themselves.
You like inspire them to aspire to be better.
Exactly. You don't go like, here's what's aspirational, this, $500 kit. It's like, no, it's like what's aspirational is like being your best every day.
Yep.
Like putting it all out there, not being afraid to fail. Like those are the things to me that are like, those are the things you should be reaching for. You shouldn't be reaching for something that you shouldn't be buying because you can't afford it, because you can't afford it because it's truly, overpriced.
Like you said that you didn't know like what a producer was growing up. Mm-hmm. The cycling community, more than any other group that I've been a part of, it's like an incubator. Like you meet people that are, if you're riding bikes and if you're riding bikes in a community or a group, chances are you share some common traits with the other riders. You've probably got a stable job or are working towards one, or you're in school. Somehow you have the means and the time to ride bikes. And so if we can bring more people into that by providing them access, providing them bikes, providing them the courage to aspire to get there, then we've done our job.
What you guys are doing that's so cool is like cycling struggles with community as far as like being comfortable enough to show up to something that you feel welcome to.
It's intimidating when you show up to 1,000 cyclists. It's intimidating
for me. Yeah. I went to a cyclocross race the other day. I've been in cycling for my whole life, and I know these people. And I was still like, I don't want to be here. Like this is so weird, man.
Yeah.
So I think that like what you're doing with the book and what you're doing with the Breakfast Club, I think that it's like this really cool connection of creating this idea and creating this space where people feel like they're supposed to be there
and they're a part of something
and someone hears them. And I think that that's what we're all really looking for at the end of the day, is like we just want to feel connected to people that understand us. You spoke on this earlier, people that we're connected to, people that understand, empathize and sympathize with us. That's all anyone ever, even the people that are being mean. And I understand that also. Maybe that's the reason why I'm able to be empathetic toward them, is because like I know that we all just want to be heard, and sometimes it's not in the most positive way. But if that's where you are right now in your journey, then that's, who am I to like, I don't have time to get mad at you, man. Like I got a bunch of other really cool things going on. I'm
so
trying
perfectly
to do
stated.
a Breakfast Club ride. Like I'm not trying. I don't have time to argue with you about the thing that you're obviously wrong about.
Different strokes for different folks, I guess. I want to get into some fun questions here. It's our rapid fire that we kind of close out every podcast with. But before we do that, I just want to talk about Red Bull.
Oh,
you're a Red Bull athlete.
Yeah.
That has got to be just the coolest partnership ever. I mean, I think I can speak for everyone that sees what Red Bull is doing to push human performance. And I'm a big fan of aviation, of flying. So anything that they do acrobatically in the air just is incredible. But I love that they kind of touch all sports, and really anybody can be a Red Bull athlete if they live that kind of Red Bull mantra. So tell me a little bit about your partnership with Red Bull and what does it mean to you?
I love Red Bull so much. It means everything to me. I'm still in the sport because of Red Bull. I don't know if I would still be a part of the sport if I didn't have this Red Bull sponsorship, and having someone that believes me in a way that's not performative, believe in me in a way that's not performative, and really have countless times put their money where their mouth is, and like trying to push not only myself but a sport that like doesn't even, I don't know what the relationship with cycling is with Red Bull. I know that like I was one of their first road athletes, and then they signed Van Aert, I think Pitcock for cross, and a couple other guys. Now they have Bora Hansgrohe, that's the Red Bull team, and then they just signed a small deal with Tudor, and so now they're completely in the sport. But I pitched them on like doing a race, and they were like, I was like, a team sponsorship would be awesome. But can we do this race? Because that affects everybody. And where we're struggling with the most, I think my understanding is like Tour California was great. And that's why a bunch of teams had sponsorships. If Red Bull comes in and does like a series, then maybe that's where other people can get sponsorships from. And so like, shout out to Red Bull. They heard me. I pitched them on the league concept, and they're like, okay, cool. We love it. We want to be a part of it. This all makes sense. Here's how we're going to start it. And they really put together a plan. Like I said, always puts their money where their mouth is. So we have a race coming up in Indiana on April 5th. In Indianapolis.
It's a Red Bull event.
It's a full Red Bull event. So like the cycling community, like if you're out there and you want this sport to like go somewhere, you got to come support this race. It's kind of like the date could be better. I know there's Sunny King happening and there's another race happening. But this is Red Bull, one of the biggest sports action companies in the world, bringing not only their experience for event building, not only bringing like the coolest kind of atmosphere that we're probably going to see in the race, but like they're bringing the bosses out. Like the bosses of the C-suite company guys, are coming out to watch this event. And it's like, if we're going to do it, like I don't care what you think about me. Like if we're going to do it and this is going to affect everybody positively, like they've stepped up and said, let's see what you guys got.
Love it.
Let's see if it's going to be worth it. It's something that we want to do.
I think cycling is more popular than ever before. And I know, a lot of it has to be driven by social media, just like everything of like kind of how cool it is and how impactful it is to be a part of a community like a cycling community. But that's, again, driven by you, that awareness of showcasing what's possible if you do what we talked about. Be positively selfish, surround yourself with good people. Sometimes do your part to leave the world better.
Yeah, sometimes it's a weird feeling to like sacrifice things that could easily be like, oh no, I'll just take care of Legion. I just will pitch Red Bull on coming in and sponsoring the team. Like we'll just be the more American like Bora. And it's like, sometimes it's weird to make that sacrifice to go like, this is going to be good for everybody. Like this is going to be not only for the people that exist in the sport right now, but for like generations to come. This could change the landscape of cycling, period. I get resumes from World Tour riders that want to come race crits. There's actively road racers. They're doing like a gravel / Criterium schedule or World Tour guys. And so Red Bull is an incredible sponsor, man. Everything that I have access to, there's a full gym in Santa Monica that I have like saunas, cold plunges, PTs, sports psychologists. They pay for food if you go work out, every day you work out, they pay for food like that. I have the Sail GP on Sunday when they're just incredible. Like, hey dude, do you want to come to this incredible race that we have like full VIP treatment for you?
Twist my arm.
Randomly. Yeah, exactly. Randomly. They're just like, this is like a Monday. They're like, let us know by like Wednesday and we'll get you tickets. Man, who does that?
If you ever need a +1, I know Corey's probably got that locked up, but if you ever need somebody to go with you.
It's incredible. It's incredible being around. You talked about being around positive people. Every Red Bull athlete is not only really good at what they do, they are incredible humans. The vetting process to become a Red Bull athlete is not easy. I thought I had this incredible meeting when I first pitched or I first sat down with Red Bull, and it took a year and a half before they signed me. And so they really, really, really do their homework, and you're just constantly around incredible people. And like every time I go to the gym, which I don't go to the gym enough, let me tell you, but every time I go to the it's called the APC, there's incredible people in there, and they just want you to win. They're positive. They're cheering you on, like you're cheering each other on. And like, that's hard to come by, man. Like everything that they do is done with it kind of skews my perception because like cycling partnerships just aren't quite there yet. And so it kind of skews my perception because my expectation of what I think that I'm going to get out of a cycling partner versus what I get out of like Red Bull. It's like it doesn't line up all the time.
You can't compare them.
And you can't compare them. And so I'm like, oh man, like I know I shouldn't be mad about this thing. I should be grateful for it, but it should. In my head, I'm like, and I'm building my own business. I'm like, it should be like this. You shouldn't want these people around. It should like, why are you half-assing this project when like it's a big deal? Like it could have a massive impact for not only you as a partner, but the people that are looking at your brand and going like, man, I want to be like that, or I want to support that brand. I want to support those people. And Red Bull, yeah, they just taught me like, yeah, it's whenever you think that there is a level that's really cool, they outdo it all the time.
That's how we should look at life. You know, once we think we've gotten to be the best, like, no, there's room to grow. There's room to be better. There's room to go faster. There's room to live longer.
Yeah.
So let's live that same, get some wings and fly.
Oh, yeah, exactly. 100%.
I love it, man. All right. Well, I could talk to you forever. I think that's obvious. I do want to go through just a couple of rapid fire questions so that our shared audiences can get to know Justin a little bit more. So if you want to answer, great. If not, no big deal. But tell me your favorite either actor or movie.
Ooh, favorite actor. I love Idris Elba. I'm hoping that he
big man crush on.
I know,
Idris.
man. He said he doesn't want the James Bond role, but I think he would be so perfect for it. He would be it would be incredible. Massive fan of that. Love Tom Hardy.
Yep.
Massive fan of him. Love Gal Gadot. I'm gonna let the Wonder Woman slide, but she's been in some incredible films. Great actor. There's so many of them. I'm a movie guy. I love movies. They're like my favorite thing. So I would say favorite movie. Actually, I'm thinking of Iron Man. I'm thinking of his name, Robert
Downey Jr.
Downey Jr. I know Iron Man is like a Marvel movie, but like the second Iron Man is like one of my favorite movies.
It's incredible, and I love everyone that's involved with those movies. Everyone from Marvel,
100%.
Jon Favreau, one of my favorite directors and writers.
Details,
like just incredible. That what they've created has made me. I wasn't into comic books a lot growing up, or the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
But that Iron Man, the Avengers, like that got me fired up, and I love what they're doing. But Idris, man. Let's string a bell.
Let's do it, man. Yeah. Just give the people what they want. Yeah. Stop fighting it.
You and I both want it. All right. Favorite food or meal or
big
cuisine?
Foodie. I'm a big foodie. I would say my go-to is probably Italian. I had this conversation the other day with a friend, like, what are your top 5 foods? Because I can't just pick one.
Same.
And so I was like, Indian food, Italian food, I had to get specific, so I had to choose between Thai food and Japanese food. And so then I just put both of those in there. I was like, those two. And then my last one she was super surprised by, but it was American food. Like, I don't think anyone does breakfast or barbecue better than Americans.
I agree with that.
And so I was like, American foods has to be, I was like, it has to be in there. And
what's your favorite Indian dish?
I got shamed. You know what? As English as this is, a chicken tikka masala. Amazing.
That and
garlic
butter
chicken.
Like, oh my god!
Yeah,
so
I know
good.
the history is that they made chicken tikka masala for the English, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. It's amazing. That's okay. It's amazing.
We used all that bland fish and chips over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, in the same vein of food, I know that you like to travel. What's the best place that you visited, and what's a place that you've yet to visit that you want to go see?
I'll give you my 3 favorite places, and I'll give you like why they're my 3 favorite places.
That'll work.
First place is Vancouver, Canada. It just feels so much like, it feels like the best version of like New York and California put together. And that's a trend amongst these cities. Canada was the first place that I went to in Vancouver where I was confused on why I didn't feel like people were looking at me. I remember going into a Starbucks at this race in Burnaby, and it was Burnaby? I can't remember the name of it. Don't quote me on that. It's a small town outside of Vancouver. And I went into the Starbucks and I looked around, and everyone from every different type of race, which they were interacting with each other. And I think in America, sometimes that's lost because, like, especially in California, growing up in California, the city is like actually really segregated, and like people, like everyone lives in their different corner. And in Canada, I was like, this is incredible. Like everyone's just like Indian guy over there talking to this Asian guy who's talking to this white guy who's talking to this black guy. And I just like, it was the first place that I didn't feel like I had to look over my shoulders.
Diverse.
Vancouver. I really love London, and it's raining outside. I like the gray.
Yeah,
I like the gray, and it's funny because my friends from London think that people from London are mean, and I think they're great. I think they're so honest. I'm like, the honesty is so refreshing,
yep.
And everyone dresses really nice, yep. And everyone has like this. There's this certain there's a certain like aroma of like manners and like etiquette that exists of course, in England. And I love it. I love the fact that people are always walking around. I love the fact that people are straight with each other. Incredible. London. And then I would say my last one is Barcelona. Barcelona is a big one for me. Spanish feels so familiar. Being from California, it feels so. Barcelona actually does feel like California.
Yeah.
And so
I agree. Looks like it.
It looks like it. And so Spanish is super familiar. The food is just okay. The food is just okay. But everything else about it, the beaches, the roads, the people are incredible. The culture is incredible. Have you heard of a siesta? Do you know how nice a siesta is?
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
You talked about what we were like when we were kids. Like, I regret not cherishing naps.
Oh my
like anytime
God,
that I complain about a nap, I'm like, why didn't I cherish those when I was a kid?
Do you remember one Saturday morning? It was like a cartoon. I think it was ABC, but it was like this cartoon series that would come on every Saturday.
Yeah.
It'll start at like 9:00.
Yeah. It was like, there was Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah.
There was
Rocket Power.
Yeah. There were a bunch of those shows that were just a staple.
Yeah,
and now I
so
feel
cool.
bad for kids that don't have access.
Your cartoons suck.
Yeah, they really do. All right. Favorite music or artist?
I have a love for music. It like literally makes my day. It sets my mood. On race day, I have a playlist that starts off with like country music, and then it goes to like rock, like soft rock music, into punk rock.
You guys send me this playlist.
Into rock music, into rap, which is like kind of a weird transition, but it's like perfect. Like it's like a relax yourself
and then get
focus,
fired up,
and then it's like the build, and then it's like super fired up for the warm up. And so I have a lot of favorite artists. Country artists right now, Midland, favorite band. Love them to death. It sounds like really old country, which I like, but it's like just they have such a swag to them. So cool. I listen to 90s punk rock like Blink-182, Taking Back Sunday, like all of these. I was literally looking for a song from the Used this morning and I couldn't figure it out. And it was like, I probably spent an hour like looking for this song.
Did you do the lyric thing where you
I did the humming thing on Google?
Yeah, it works.
And it came up.
It works.
Oh my God, it works.
Yeah. It works.
And then favorite rappers, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick's hometown boy. I've been getting a lot into like Larry June, Tyler the Creator. I am like very much into rappers that are like saying stuff. I do enjoy sending messages.
Exactly. I do enjoy like the poppy stuff that's fun. But I don't know. I think that a lot of Black history is in music, and I think that a lot of guidance, whether it be positive or negative, depends on how its perception is everything. But I feel like a lot of like the history of like Black culture is in rap. And so I love rap music so much.
Anybody that criticized Kendrick's performance at the Super Bowl obviously just wasn't looking for that message.
No,
like
they're
it
not.
Was so well choreographed, and the messaging in there that he was sending was just, I mean, even his like what he was wearing was
I feel like Kendrick is so Kendrick smart. Is doing like he's so beyond what people are trying to be entertained. Yeah. And like that's the whole Kendrick Drake beef is like Drake is to me like one of the best artists to ever exist, but Kendrick is like the best rapper.
Yes.
You know
that's a great way to describe it.
And like the difference between Kendrick and and Drake, I feel like Drake is for everyone, and Kendrick is specifically the leader of like Black culture, and I think that's where Drake made a mistake. The mistake was, it's like, you didn't think that people from LA, people that like really are plugged into like Black culture, you thought they were gonna side with you, and they just never were going to. And I don't know if that's completely fair, but it
doesn't matter. It's what you think. So
exactly.
like, that's it. It's like, just go by what you think. You said this earlier. We do things based on what we think other people will feel.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel one of my favorite thought leaders is Ryan Holiday, and he talks about stoicism and the fact that nobody can make you feel a certain way. Your feelings are the way that you're responding to them. So yes, their actions
completely in your control.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I say the two things you can always control: your attitude and your effort. And I think you do that perfectly, eloquently. Okay, one more rapid fire. Actually, two. One is easy, one is hard. The easy one: favorite dessert or ice cream flavor?
Favorite dessert. I'm a sucker for a banana bread. I didn't love banana bread growing up. CJ did. That was his thing. There's a banana bread at Great White in Venice. It's incredible. I love a Pizookie, which is like a BJ's thing. It's like basically a cookie in a little pan with a scoop of ice cream on top.
That was what we had. Vanilla. Remember birthday parties when we were growing up? We always had a Pizookie.
So good. And I would say last thing, rice pudding. I had an ex-girlfriend whose like grandma used to make me rice pudding, like literally a pot of rice pudding. And it's the thing that I miss the most about her. It's her grandma making me rice pudding.
We won't talk about that. That'll be for another podcast. All right, last rapid fire for you. Person, any time in history, dead or alive, that you want to meet.
Whoa. Any person, dead or alive, that I would want to meet. I got to meet Lewis Hamilton. He's one of my favorite athletes.
That's incredible.
I would love to spend more time with him. Just like figure out how he's done it, because I think
just turned 40 and he's still elite.
I think what I'm doing is
Lewis,
like,
if you want to ever come on the Finding Good podcast,
whenever you have him, we're gonna manifest it. Whenever you have him on a podcast, I will come be an assistant.
Yeah, we'll find a better place than a Los Angeles Airbnb for you, Lewis.
I think anybody that I would want to talk to, it would either be Malcolm X or Huey P. Newton. I think those are two people that I could learn a lot from. Huey P. Newton was one of the leaders of the Black Panther Party when they were basically bringing white people and Black people from that were minorities in the sense of like they were poor.
Yep.
That he was bringing them together. He was feeding their kids. He started that, and then maybe also Fred Hampton, like same part of the same party.
Yep.
That would be incredible. Any one of those three would be pretty incredible. Just to like get an idea of like how, why. I mean, sadly, I think all three of them were assassinated. But yeah, I think that would be incredible.
In grad school, I took this class called Rhetoric of Diversity, and one of the areas that we studied was the civil rights movement, but then all the way dating back to like W.E.B. Du Bois. And just thinking about being a Black thought leader in the late 19th century.
Scary.
So it just had to be unfathomable to 100%. Think about. And so the strength that civil rights leaders have had throughout the history of the racial divide, I'm just so fascinated by it. So that's, great response for that one. I put you on the spot with that one.
No,
and you
I love it.
Answered it perfectly. Justin, I cannot express in words how much I appreciate you being here, how much I admire and look up to you as like my little kid brother from LA. Like I've only got 5 years on you, but you're just up on this pedestal of life as an athlete, an entrepreneur, a figurehead of an amazing organization and team. And I do think you're just getting started. But I'm along for the ride. I'm a fan for life, and I can't thank you enough for being on the podcast.
No, I appreciate it. It won't be the last one, I'm sure. And then we'll get that breakfast ride going.
We'll get the Breakfast Club ride together with Legion. We'll have a nice collab, some good merch for it. And what I really want is that playlist.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, no, we can make one
before the event. Like, get everyone hyped up, and then I can I don't know if it's Kendrick or J. Cole or whatever, but like whatever song we're leaving to as we go out, getting that fade out drone shot with 1,000 cyclists with you at the helm, it'd be so fantastic.
Sweet. I'm here for it. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for being here, brother. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Finding Good podcast. As always, you can subscribe on YouTube and on Spotify. Links will be in the show notes below. Can't thank my guest, Justin Williams, enough for being here today. As always, keep finding good, my friends. See you next time.